WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
Heightened concerns of a major offensive. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. That's why the Biden administration says it's holding back some heavy bombs bound for Israel.
White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby says President Biden shares Israel's goal of eliminating the threat of Hamas in Gaza.
Smashing into Rafah, in his view, will not advance that objective, will not get to that sustainable, enduring defeat of Hamas.
The president says he's made clear to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that the U.S. will not support a major military operation in the southern Gazan city of Rafah, where more than 1 million Palestinians are sheltering. Still, Kirby says a final decision on providing the high payload bombs has not been made, and the administration is not backing away from shipping defensive weapons to Israel.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The judge in former President Trump's hush money trial has denied the defense's second request for a mistrial over the testimony of adult film star Stormy Daniels. The judge said that Trump's lawyers had ample opportunities to object to the questioning. After court was over for the day, the former president again said he did nothing wrong.
We are so innocent. There's never been anything like it. Read every single analyst, legal analyst. I'm innocent.
Trump is accused of falsifying business records to cover up payments made to Daniels and others to squash unfavorable stories about him leading up to the 2016 election. Okaloosa County Sheriff Eric Alden says a deputy announced himself as law enforcement entered the apartment of a black Air Force airman before he was shot to death May 3rd, disputing the claims of the attorney for the family of Roger Fortson, who says the deputy went to the wrong apartment. The Salt Lake County Sheriff Office says 2 skiers have died and one was rescued after an avalanche in the mountains outside Salt Lake City that happened after several days of spring snowstorms. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Facing decades behind bars. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. A man from Indiana is going to federal prison for the next 30 years in a child sex crime case. Donnie Burgess reports.
Gerald Brand is a 43-year-old man from Valparaiso. He shared pictures of a 10-year-old child online, with some of those pictures showing the child when they were as young as 5. Brand shared the pictures around Christmas of 2022. A search of the home he shared with Veronica Solis was conducted in March of last year, where investigators found more electronics with sexual pictures and videos of children on them, some of which Brand and Solis produced when they lived in Texas. Both have pled guilty to sexual exploitation of children. Solis also faces up to 30 years in prison. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
But one boutique hotel in Madison provides most of the amenities of a traditional hotel, minus the human interactions. You can book a suite at the Chandler Hotel online. Then, when it is time for your stay, you will check yourself in and be sent codes for the front door and your specific room. Learn more at thechandlerhotel.com. And when Caitlin Clark isn't playing basketball, she often enjoys chocolate chip cookies made by her mother.
All right, Ann Clark, if you're hearing this, bring the desserts. Cookies, plum cookies. May 16th versus New York.
That's the day Clark's Indiana Fever Squad begins their regular season. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Making our way towards Thursday evening will remain cloudy, but chances for showers will go down. That's not to say we'll be completely rain-free, but overall dry tonight with a low temperature around 52 degrees, winds to the northeast at 10 to 15. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Drew Sutis for 93 WIBC.
According to a 2023 Gallup poll, 71% of non-retired adults are worried about retirement saving. At Howard Bailey Financial, we don't believe retiring with confidence should be guesswork. In fact, our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we provide our Retire with Purpose toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you won't outlive. To receive your complimentary toolkit, text CLARITY to 866-482-9559. Take a step toward a more confident retirement with Howard Bailey Financial and text CLARITY to 866-482-9559.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TS1.
Whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 40th, she deserves more. Shop tons of stunning on-trend jewelry for every budget at Diamonds Direct. Diamond fashion jewelry, beautiful birthstones, everyday pearls starting at just $200. Commemorate the real loves of her life with a gorgeous pendant featuring the birthstone of the one who made her mom. This Mother's Day, Diamonds Direct has everything you need to say thank you. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Online at diamondsdirect.com.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun. Brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
I'm Al Unser Jr., two-time Indy 500 winner and a client at Exercise Inc. Change your life in 20 minutes once a week. ExerciseInc.com.
The Phone Ready Quiz from the American Academy of Pediatrics will help you decide if you and your child are ready for their first phone. Go to healthychildren.org/phone ready quiz.
Tony Katz.
It's Kendall and Casey.
The Amber and Nigel show. All right, when does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Good evening and welcome to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. It's nice to be with you guys. Of course, this week we've got May coverage of Indy racing. We have the ever lovely Pacers versus the Knicks playoffs. And that means that things get shuffled around and bumped. And I've had an unprecedented couple of preemption nights, which I've taken to spend some time with family. And so tonight, Thursday, is the only episode this week for a show that's usually from 7 to 8 every evening on 93.1 FM, the live streams on Twitter, X, and YouTube, and the podcasts, anywhere else. Well, there's a lot to discuss, and realistically, the best way to sum up all of the shenanigans that are going on is in the Latin phrase, Panem et Circenses. Now, this is a Latin phrase that I've used quite a bit because, number one, I know very little Latin, and number two, because it is so relevant to the culture today. Panem et Circenses was an idea that in order to keep individuals distracted from all of the shenanigans going on, you give them lots of food, and then you give them lots of circuses or entertainment. Panem means bread, circuses means entertainment, again, through the idea of put on entertainment by the government or local areas. And for a long time in American society, and by a long time I mean from about 1985 to about a year and a half ago, this was the norm in American society. Entertainment became more readily available, and basically individuals could kind of slip by without having Americans be too concerned about politics as long as they were well fed and as long as the entertainment kept flowing. And this was shown quite easily in polls, so that whatever the media news coverage brought to your home, you just kind of believed because you didn't really need to care otherwise. Well, now that is an absolute, unadulterated, unquestionable free fall. And the most clear example of this post-COVID comes in the case of the Trump series of legal trials. So again, to recap what most individuals already know, Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, who is the front-runner Republican nominee for the presidential election in November, he is being hit with a series of legal suits, some at the federal court level regarding things like felonies regarding Stormy Daniels, some things regarding document classification, civil lawsuits regarding fraud, and all of these things that appear not to hold sway over the American public as time goes on. And that's unusual because over the last 30 to 40 years, if you were hit with anything relatively close to this, it was considered immediate destruction of your entire presidential campaign. Again, remember, Mitt Romney lost to Obama in 2012, mostly because there was that 47% comment coupled with the binders full of women that Mitt Romney wanted to hire. Those were enough to destroy his presidential campaign. Whereas now, it's not really holding water with the American public that Donald Trump is going under all of these legal cases. And here's why. So, Trump's cases are an absolute free fall with the American public, but not for Trump. For the legal cases themselves, here are some reasons why Americans are very skeptical. So, Trump's document federal case in Florida has been postponed indefinitely by Judge Eileen Cannon because she has questions about classified evidence. This was the best legal case for Trump to possibly experience jail time or a serious fine. This was the best legal case that those wanting Trump locked away had. And this has been postponed probably until after the election, which means that Democrats really only have the civil case to hang their hat on that Trump was found guilty in, the January 6th case, which is experiencing its own series of issues in Washington, D.C., as well as the Stormy Daniels porn case. So, Donald Trump, he stuffed a porn star, Stormy Daniels, and he alleges that he paid her to keep quiet because he wanted to save Melania embarrassment while she was pregnant, whereas prosecutors in New York are suggesting that it was actually to keep Trump from embarrassment in the election that would have really hurt him. Kind of a weird case to make, given, that Donald Trump has not exactly been known as a sexual paragon of virtue the entire time that he's been known to the public, but that's the case that they're making. And the courts decided that in this 34 felony count indictment to bring Stormy Daniels to testify, which probably was the stupidest move that they could have made in this particular situation. Because Stormy Daniels gets up in front of the jury, gets up in front of the crowd, and starts telling the story of the night that she had sex with Donald Trump. And it was completely different from the first time that she told the story in public. She's now changed her story a couple of times, as well as being incredibly graphic until the judge told her, Judge Merchant actually told her to stop. And the defense said, well, then why did you actually allow her to come and testify then? She's not actually germane to the case. And Judge Merchant then blamed Stormy Daniels being brought to the courtroom on Donald Trump's lawyers, which doesn't really make any sense. And to America, this just looks like a clown show at this point. It does. And it's shown in the polls because Trump is leading Biden in swing states consistently. In the New York judicial oversight situation, in which, again, Donald Trump in a civil case was charged millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars for alleged fraud, the New York judicial oversight body has launched an official investigation into Judge Arthur Engren's alleged meeting and interaction with a high-profile attorney who offered unsolicited advice on a Trump case prior to the court ruling, which is illegal. And if the Judicial Investigation Committee actually finds that Judge Merchant, broke the law, Donald Trump gets all of his money back. New York Attorney General James experiences further embarrassment. And again, Donald Trump just continues to soar ahead. And this is completely in contrast to President Biden's administration, which somehow is experiencing more chaos than he already was. First case is that President Biden is going around to the swing states trying to claim some kind of victory for the economic development that Donald Trump and Scott Walker brought to the Wisconsin economic industry. And then President Biden decided to tell everyone that actually he's been meeting with all of these world leaders about AI. Here's what that looked like.
I've gone around the world, literally, not figuratively, meeting with the leading architects of AI.
No, he hasn't. There is no record, no itinerary, no brief on the White House at all that President Biden has met with any other nations regarding AI at all in the last couple of years. In fact, when President Biden put forth his July 2023 executive order on AI, there was outrage from other nations around the world who were completely blindsided. They had to convene an emergency G7 meeting because no one was expecting Biden to just unilaterally knock out an executive order on AI without talking to any of them. But this is par for the course, because when it comes to President Biden and America's allies, he has absolutely no interest in staying remotely consistent. Now, President Biden is withholding military aid to Israel because of the Rafah offensive. By the way, Trump was impeached for this, for withholding aid from Ukraine. And Ukraine wasn't even at war when he withheld aid until Ukraine addressed its corruption problem. And so even Aaron Burnett over at CNN is absolutely astounded by the hypocrisy here. And that's really the case, that Biden will go up in front of the country and he'll mumble through talking about how Hamas needs to be destroyed. And then when Israel is on the precipice of actually destroying Hamas, Biden says, hold up, don't do that. Again, in the United States, over 70% of Americans are completely on board with wiping Hamas from the face of the earth and Israel doing whatever it needs to do. It's a wild move as a president administration directive in the first place. It's worse when Politico reports that pro-Palestinian protesters are backed by Biden's biggest donors. It's practically insane as a political move, and it's really no wonder that President Biden is facing the lowest approval rating of any incumbent president in modern polling history. It's wild. Lower than Nixon? Really? That's where Biden's at. RFK Jr., however, is just as insane as we've all said that he was from the very beginning of time. And all you have to do is actually sit down and listen to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. speak for a few seconds to know that he's nuts. Of course, RFK Jr.'s campaign said that the worm that ate part of his brain will not affect his ability to serve as president. That's not something from the National Enquirer. That's something his campaign actually said. Here's RFK Jr. talking about what he believes about abortion, though.
But so in other words, keeping it as is with Roe versus Wade having been overturned and leaving it up to the states to determine if and when a woman can have an abortion?
No, I wouldn't leave it to the states.
You wouldn't, right?
No, I would.
You would say completely. It's up to the woman.
My belief is we should leave it to the woman. We shouldn't have government involved.
Even if it's full term.
Even if it's full term.
Oh, so if you take your wife to the hospital and she's in labor, the baby is inside, a 9-month fully formed baby in her womb, Kennedy says you can kill it. Even though, of course, babies born earlier are just as human as anyone else. This is absolutely wild. So anyone who was worried about individuals from the right being drawn over to vote for Kennedy, that ain't happening, Captain. So up next, we're going to be talking about a different kind of cultural insanity and those who are judging it. We're going to be chatting with Matt Walsh for his new DailyWire Plus series, Judged. Stick around. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC.
The month of May is filled with traditions.
One more turn to go.
Poll Day, Carb Day, Bump Day.
Appears to be solidly in the show.
But first, a tradition filled with twists and turns. This weekend, the green flag drops on the Sancio Grand Prix as Alex Palou defends his title.
Alex Palou wins the Grand Prix in Indy.
Follow the action Saturday at 3 on 93 WIBC.
You may not have 1,000 horsepower, but you're always racing. Whether it's to work, to pick something up, or drop someone off. So go the distance, knowing Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles. Shop any of Hubler's 12 locations, then choose from over 2,000 vehicles. Chevys, Fords, GMCs, Buicks, Nissans, Acuras, Mazdas, Hondas, and many more. All makes, all models. Certified vehicles. Luxury vehicles. Even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report.
'Cause Hubler's got you covered.
No matter where you're racing to, go the distance, knowing Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles. Visit drivehubler.com or any of our 12 locations.
Cover me!
Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Your nose is for breathing. Your mouth is for eating. And if you're breathing through your mouth, it's not because your body wants to. It's because it has to, because your nose isn't working properly. And although you've lived like this, it's no way to live, and it's having a significant impact on your life. I know you know this, and I know that taking action isn't always convenient. But at Advent, we've done all we can to make changing your life for the better as easy as possible. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. With tens of thousands of our patients, a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, along with a simple 20-minute in-office procedure called balloon sinuplasty, has opened their nasal passages, allowing them to breathe freely through their nose for good. And there's a good chance this procedure can do the same for you. We'll help you breathe through your nose again, and it will change your life.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary.
Family Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data, and you get to choose who joins your family plan starting as low as $25 a line. Does it have to be family? It can be family or people you like.
Get more lines and more savings. Switch to Straight Talk for family plan starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Dads happen. There's a whole lot of stuff that can mess up the look of your vehicle. Don't paint your car. Go PDR with Kill Dent Removal. PDR is paintless dent removal that saves your factory finish and is way less invasive than traditional body shop repairs. And it's faster too, sometimes same day. Google Kill Dent Removal and check out the reviews and photos. Then schedule your repair. Hail baseballs, kids, fender benders, shopping carts, flying cows, angry X's, and anything else that leaves dents. Don't paint your car. Go PDR with Kill Dent Removal.
Did you know if you have water, storm, or fire damage, the first step is on you? Yikes. It's your responsibility to mitigate damages. Mitigate? Yeah, that's a fancy word for call Michaelis. They'll take it from there, from boarding up, cleaning up, and fixing up, to getting you squared up with your insurance company, which is a whole other mess you can avoid. Make it Michaelis. Call 844-FIX-INDY.
We used to argue about whose turn it was to clean the gutters, but then I had leaf filter gutter protection installed.
Wait, I told you Leaf Filter had free inspections and estimates and a lifetime guarantee.
Meaning we never have to argue about whose turn it is to clean the gutters again.
But I visited leaffilter.com/beacon first.
No, I did.
It doesn't matter who. Visit leaffilter.com/beacon to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Rob. Right now, schedule your free in-home estimate. For every 2 windows you buy, you get the next 2 free, plus 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years. Restrictions apply. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by B&W Plumbing, HVAC, and Electrical, your American Standard air dealer.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Hey, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC, 93.1 FM out of Indianapolis, up at the Daily Signal, and the podcast stuff, everywhere else. Well, if you're like me and you had a childhood that involved getting home from school and turning on the TV, while you waited for the good stuff to come on, you had to sit through some of the weird local court TV. Some of it was good. You had Judge Judy, which was always great to see her just backhand somebody. And then some of them were really weird and lame. And I don't know, some of my best memories from childhood that were, repeating some of the great smackdowns from some of these judge shows. Maybe that was a bad sign that I was going to end up doing this kind of stuff for the rest of my life. But now, Matt Walsh from the DailyWire has got a new show, Judged, in which he takes the same kind of ridiculous cases down in Tennessee and absolutely humiliates everyone in the courtroom. And it's not bad. Matt, how's it going?
Hey, doing well. Thanks for having me.
So the first question that I've got, because, I know you're not much of a niceties kind of guy. Where on God's green earth is the powdered wig, dude?
That's a very good question. We had a lot of conversations about the powdered wig, and I sort of regret not going that route. I mean, if we have a season 2, then that's something we could add in. But I think we ultimately landed on it was a step too far. We have the robe. I have a quill pen.
You have a quill pen?
A quill pen, yeah. We kind of that was our compromise. We landed on that we do. We're not going to go all the way to the powdered wig, but we'll do the quill pen.
I was hoping that also that your platform as a judge would get higher with each episode until at the end it's like the parody and every plaintiff is like staring up into heaven. I figured that would.
Actually, it's funny you bring that up because there is I guess I can reveal that this is a little behind the scenes thing. That the original conception of the show, we actually had the judge's bench elevate into the air even farther when the cases started. And I always loved that. We had so many conversations about the elevating bench thing, and I always loved it. I was a big proponent of it, but I was voted down. I guess we decided that it's just, it's like it just makes the whole thing a little bit too cartoonish.
I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking of if it just slowly, like it rose so slowly, you really weren't able to see it. Just over the point of the case, it just kept rising. So like by the end of it, everyone's necks were craning upward, just enough to have like one of the plaintiffs ask you, "Are you going up?" Just think, I don't know.
That's a good. I wish I had thought of that during the brainstorming sessions for this show, because that's a good angle. We didn't originally. It was just as soon as I sat down, the bench went straight up. But that's maybe we'll adopt that strategy next time.
So, okay, honestly, why do a judge show? I mean, look, there's a lot of snarky, dry, deadpan humor that you do, that a lot of guys do. There's always a different flavor to it. I mean, you're not like Norm Macdonald. Every like dry humor guy's kind of got a different way of doing it. Why kind of channel that into doing like some kind of a remaster of these judge shows that we had in the 90s and the aughts?
Well, the first reason is that my passion has always been judging people. I've always been told that I'm a very judgmental person, and I've never understood why that's an insult to begin with. Because we are supposed to exercise judgment. So the fact that you exercise judgment's not really. I don't see that as a negative, and we're able to channel that into a show. That's what made it appealing to me. But also, it's it's entertainment. We were looking to do something that's fun. It's the most fun for me, but hopefully fun for the audience too. And also just entertaining. And there's a little lesson embedded in each episode, of course, but it's not, that's not the primary function of the show. It's also not political in a really, certainly not in any kind of explicit way. So
the question that I've had watching the show is that, yeah, you have your little moral themes that, again, the very first episode start off, hey, don't take people's stuff. And the themes progress as you go through the season. I guess that sticking you in a Barney suit and having you do just very simple children's moral lessons was too much of a concern for Jeremy Boring, or did you just not fit in the suit?
We hadn't thought about introducing the dinosaur suit to it, but I wouldn't necessarily shoot it down.
I mean, you talk about like introducing a moral lesson. And I mean, let's be real. Today, the moral lessons in society are so lacking that you almost need a children's style show to talk down. I guess if I was thinking of, based on your documentary, What is a Woman, where you break down very simple truths, at least they were simple to me as a biology teacher, it kind of seems hilarious that it has to be a judge show to communicate some of these in an entertaining way, because back in the day, these used to be communicated through Mr. Rogers walking out in sneakers or Barney the dinosaur waltzing out onto that weird playground set. I just think it's weird that a judge show has to be the way that you spell out some of these lessons to people. I've been really shocked by the comments that some of the plaintiffs in the cases have made.
Yeah, and I think that look, it is primarily a show where the objective is entertainment, and we're not trying to change the world with it necessarily. Mm-hmm. And I think and I think conservatives in general should. That's something we've talked about, of course, at the DailyWire quite a bit. But that's something that's a game we should be trying to get into. Making quality entertainment that isn't always doesn't always function as political sermon every single time, but there is, as I said, there is a sort of a lesson in each one, and I have had that thought in some of these cases where at the end I have to deliver a little bit of wisdom to these poor, confused
sad, unfortunate souls.
But some of the stuff, it's like it is really, really basic to your point. But it is kind of shocking that you don't really hear some of this stuff anywhere else on TV. I mean, but these are really basic moral lessons, and these are people who have unfortunately very dysfunctional lives, and that's how you end up in a court show to begin with.
That used to be the flair of Judge Judy, is that she would just be this no nonsense. She would hear someone kind of make an excuse for a crime, like someone would be accused of theft, and they would say, well, yeah, I did it, but the person really deserved it. And she would have to crack their heads together like coconuts, because the other person would never just sit there and shut up and let her lecture them. They would always try to help. And I'm amazed how quickly that started to happen in your show. And there used to just be this, like the audience was saying it out loud, almost like you're watching a horror movie. You're saying, don't go in there or something like that. And you're watching this judge show. I at least remember as a kid, and you would want to say you're stupid to the plaintiffs that were on the screen. And it was like a relief when Judge Judy would do it in a comical way. And I'm shocked that the most entertaining thing about the show is how much that hasn't changed. If not, it's gotten worse in the cases that have been brought forward, like how oblivious some of the people are to some of these cases. I mean, that are brought for you. Are there any that stick out as just being like, how did this make it to camera in this courtroom set?
Yeah, they all kind of do. I guess one of my favorites is, I think it was in the second episode that's out now. It was a uncle who enlisted his niece to go purchase marijuana for him because she had a medical marijuana card. And so his idea of being a good uncle was to have her go buy him weed. And then she smoked it all and gave it away to friends on the way home and came home empty-handed. And so he sued her to get his drug money back. So, that's the kind of thing. Again, if you have to be that level of dysfunctional to make it on a judge show to begin with. But I will say, to your point about some of these cases you see on Judge Judy, where, I've actually been surprised by how common of a theme this is on our own show, where you have, someone who did something wrong, clearly wrong, like they stole from someone or they vandalized a car, they, smashed windshields. We have a few cases like that.
Right.
And the person who did the wrong thing admits they did it, but they felt morally entitled to do it because they were wronged in some way by the other person. And very often, I think we had at least 3 cases like this where it's a woman who did something like this to a man, but she said it's okay that she did it because the man cheated. Mm-hmm. And so it's been interesting to see how many crimes these women think that they're entitled to commit if some sort of infidelity is allegedly committed against them.
You can catch the rest of this interview over on our Facebook page for the video or the audio on the full podcast. We'll be back in just a second. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and there's nothing more precious to so many of us than the safety and privacy in our homes. And they are the gathering place for everything from Mother's Day to graduation celebrations. And this is a great time to reach out to Zero Res to clean up your carpets and floors before family and friends show up for everything is happening in May. So how about having Zero Res help you take on dust, dander, allergens, and even bacteria in your carpets with a great spring deal? Get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $149 and take 20% off all their other services. Those carpets are the largest air filter in the home, and the ZR Water Difference cleans them up with no soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, leaving everything really clean. The Zero Res service is easy to line up. You can go online at ZeroResIndy.com to do the scheduling at your convenience. Now mention WIBC and get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $149, plus you'll get 20% off all their other services too. Call 317-388-5141 or book online at ZeroResIndy.com.
Hammer and Nigel here. Hammer, this is actually pretty amazing. If you could get a 15% upfront bonus on your money and a competitive return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years, what would you say?
Abso-freaking-lutely. And that's what Bill Demery can offer you right now. A 15% upfront bonus when you invest your money. And what I love about Bill Demery, I've met with him. He can explain this stuff in a way that I can understand. He breaks it down and it's so easy, Nige.
There's a lot of advisors on this station, but we only put our name on one advisor that we trust, both of us, and that's Bill Demery, your retirement guy.
Help take care of your hard-earned money and reach out to Bill Demery right now. 317-648-5120. Ask about the 15% upfront bonus. 317-648-5120. Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
We used to argue about whose turn it was to clean the gutters, but then I had leaf filter gutter protection installed.
Wait, I told you Leaf Filter had free inspections and estimates and a lifetime guarantee.
Meaning we never have to argue about whose turn it is to clean the gutters again.
But I visited leaffilter.com/beacon first.
No, I did.
It doesn't matter who. Visit leaffilter.com/beacon to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
The deals and specials are sizzling hot. It's the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show this Saturday and Sunday at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory on West Minnesota Street. The best dealers in the region, hundreds of tables, just $6 for adults, kids 12 and under free. Must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade this Saturday 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory. For more info, visit CentralIndianaGunShows.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in an accident and would like to know the value of your case, it's easy. Go to forthepeople.com and go to verdicts and settlements to see cases just like yours. You may see numbers that are much higher than what your lawyer's telling you. You see, all lawyers are not the same. Some may only handle a few injury cases a year. this is all we do. Injured? The choice is easy. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
For the biggest selection of Mother's Day gifts, shop Cynthia's Hallmark at 116th and Allisonville Road, 116th and Brook School Road, 96th and Lantern Road in Fishers, and in Greenfield.
This week at Sullivan Hardware and Garden, see our great selection of grills. We have Weber, Traeger, the Big Green Egg, and all the accessories.
B&W Plumbing, HVAC, and Electrical is here to make your spring comfortable and hassle-free. Go to bplusw.com/radio to schedule your appointment today. B&W is your independent American Standard Air dealer.
Overcoming drug addiction is difficult. The road to recovery is different for everyone. Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Good evening and welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. We're with Rebecca Downs from townhall.com because it looks like Jamaal Bowman is still a conspiracy theorist. So, Rebecca, we won't mince any of our time. Tell us what's going on.
So, the Daily Beast, back in late January, uncovered how Jamaal Bowman actually had since deleted posts really about conspiracy theories, especially about 9/11, which really spoke to me. I myself am a New Yorker, and Jamaal Bowman represents a district in New York, in Westchester, not far from New York City. So, okay, that was a few years ago. It was behind him, one would think, one would hope. But then the Daily Beast came out with another report how his YouTube channel or his YouTube account, Inner Peace, as recently as last month, was following more conspiracy theory stuff about aliens and UFOs, and really kooky stuff out there, kooky people, far left, far right even. So it doesn't look like that is behind him. And what I found particularly telling about that is his campaign sent over a statement to the Daily Beast and was like, well, there's more important things to worry about. And that included mentioning inflation.
Okay.
And first of all, New York, there's a Democratic trifecta in New York. There's also a Democratic president. So whose fault is that? Who's in charge? It also talked about, he didn't say Israel or what they call Palestine or Gaza or anything like that, but he did speak to, tens of thousands of innocents are being killed.
And that's something that I want to pick apart just a second here. And this is a common trend among modern politicians. And we saw this with Kristi Noem in her interview with Fox that kind of went south, in which there's some kind of a scandal and people want answers. And so journalists or news hosts or pundits or whoever it is, they get on the air or they get in front of the individual with the scandal and they say, tell us about these scandals. And instead of answering the questions, they go up. Let's talk about what Americans really care about. Instead of just saying, yeah, that's garbage. Or, I believe that. And here's why. And just like owning it. Instead, there's this trend of, hold on now. I mean, have we talked about inflation yet? And it's like, yeah, I mean, everyone is. Answer the question, Jamaal.
Yeah. It's a cop out. And, talking about these, tens of thousands, of course, any lives lost in the conflict, it's a tragedy. Any innocent lives lost, that's also completely the fault of Hamas. But speaking of Hamas, those numbers, those are propaganda figures. Hamas admitted, I think it was last month, they don't know the actual toll of how many people have been killed in Gaza. So it didn't surprise me that a member of the squad would be talking about the Israel-Hamas conflict, primarily about Gaza. So he didn't post about it on his social media. I did my due diligence. I checked. I wanted to include, if he sent out a post that said, I'm sorry about this, or this is nonsense, this is BS. No. What he posted about around the time the report came out was also when Joe Biden himself, this is not just Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, this is not, of course, the White House during press briefings hasn't been honest about it, or they haven't been able to tell anything, I guess I should say. But he told CNN himself that he will halt aid to Israel ammunition if they go forward with their operation in Rafah. Of course they are going to go forward with their operation in Rafah. They've said as much as they will. So Biden is really tying up a key ally here. You know, he claims that support for Israel is ironclad. What does that mean anymore? And Jamaal Bowman was posting his support for that. He actually reposted his own post. He also reposted fellow squad member Ilhan Omar about it. I believe other squad members he reposted it as well. He really wanted to get his thoughts out there. And this comes after Bowman has spoken out in favor of the student protests. Of course, not all of them are students. At Columbia, you know, he's a New York congressman, so Columbia is particularly relevant. And he went on MSNBC the other night and he said, oh, I spoke to Jewish students as well. And they told me they were a little bit uncomfortable and there was a little bit anti-Semitism, but they don't feel unsafe. First of all, that's very telling that he was able to admit that much. But why are we downplaying even just a little bit of anti-Semitism?
There's a meme that I love to post when I'm online because so many people just say things and they just expect it to be taken as rote fact. And it's a picture of like sources, like in a bibliography, and it says sources, number 1, dude, trust me. And so when Jamaal Bowman actually gets up on television and says, well, I've talked to lots of Jewish students and they say that, sure, it's a little uncomfortable, but they don't feel unsafe. Meanwhile, I'm seeing videos of Columbia students who are Jewish and are saying, yeah, I feel very unsafe. You know, I've been threatened, I've been harassed, I've been intimidated, I've been entrapped, and all of these other things. So that the weird part about all of this is that you have Jamaal Bowman who's willing to sign on to any far left-wing conspiracy theory that he can get his hands on, whether it's 9/11, whether it's this weirdo idea that, you know, the Hamas terror organization is just totally 100% believable on all of their casualty rates that they know seconds after the fact of any kind of an incident happening.
Exactly.
And yet when you ask him about these kinds of things, he immediately dodges and starts talking about these nonsensical blasé issues per se in order to avoid any kind of accountability for it. I mean, do you think that this is going to affect him in New York in the long term, or is he, you know, set for a Pelosi-style career of decades in Congress?
Oh, absolutely not. I think it's going to affect him. I think he's desperate. I think he's running desperate. The interesting thing about the squad members, a lot of them came into office by unseating incumbents. It looks like obviously he's the incumbent now. It looks like he's about to be unseated by a gentleman, Westchester County Executive George Latimer. He is very well known in Westchester.
Now, wait a minute. Is Latimer a guy who has been posting theories about how 9/11 was a secret Jewish inside job?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, has he been posting conspiracy theories about aliens?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so it sounds like, whether he's on the left or the right, he's more normal of a guy than Jamaal Bowman could be, perhaps.
Absolutely. It's a Democratic district, right? The district is going to elect a Democrat. The best hope is to have a pro-Israel Democrat. You know, you and I might not agree with George Latimer on a lot, but it sounds like he might be able to find common ground with other pro-Israel members of Congress.
I'd settle for another John Fetterman, given the recent performance of that Pennsylvania senator.
Absolutely. And when it comes to specific legislation, also a telling thing, Jamaal Bowman, as did many other all the other members of the squad, they voted last week, it was, against Mike Lawler's anti-Semitism bill, which would codify a definition of anti-Semitism so that colleges could actually have something to hold anti-Semitic students accountable for.
Well, it certainly is an interesting situation, and thanks for keeping us up to date. Rebecca Downs, townhall.com. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a second. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC.
I remember those family moments listening to the Indianapolis 500.
The magic of May.
Pool party, grill out, beers, hot dogs, listen to the race.
The traditions.
The playing of taps right before the start of the race.
The drivers.
Rick Mears.
Elio Castroneves.
Al Unser Jr.
The memories.
Everybody tailgating and having a good time.
For more than 70 years.
AJ Foyt takes the lead from Eddie Sachs.
Your home of the Indianapolis 500. 93 WIBC.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home.
Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Get ready for storm season because you know as well as I do, storms in Indiana can be fierce and they can come out of nowhere. So don't wait for a leak to have your roof inspected. Have peace of mind about your roof being able to handle any storm. Moss Roofing, M-O-S-S, mossroofing.com provides free inspections and can spot potential issues before they turn into costly repairs. Whether you're looking for a siding replacement after a strong wind or a roof replacement after a hailstorm, Moss Roofing has options that fit any budget. Just ask Moss Roofing about their payment plans. No matter your situation, Moss Roofing has you covered with a job done right every single time. I love that. That's very funny. Contact Moss Roofing today. 317-747-3665. 317-747-3665. Tell them Tony Cat sent you. Moss Roofing, 747-3665 or online at Moss, M-O-S-S, mossroofing.com.
Retirement. When you picture your retirement, what do you see? Travel, relaxation, hobbies, more time with the people you love? Or are you met with uncertainty and concern? Whatever emotion the word retirement conjures up for you, Howard Bailey Financial is ready to help. Our financial advisors are not just experts in retirement strategies, they are your partners in crafting a personalized retirement plan that aligns with your dreams and aspirations. At Howard Bailey, we prioritize one thing above all else, your peace of mind. Don't leave your retirement planning to chance. Instead, call 866-482-9559 now to schedule your personal financial review and see how Howard Bailey can help give you confidence in your retirement goals. Again, call 866-482-9559.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TS1.
Whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 40th, she deserves more. Shop tons of stunning on-trend jewelry for every budget at Diamonds Direct. Diamond fashion jewelry, beautiful birthstones, everyday pearls starting at just $200. Commemorate the real loves of her life with a gorgeous pendant featuring the birthstone of the one who made her mom. This Mother's Day, Diamonds Direct has everything you need to say thank you. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Online at diamondsdirect.com.
What's keeping you from learning the language you've always wanted to speak?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make learning fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. And in 10 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons are designed to get you having real conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
That's not long.
It's not hard.
It's perfect.
It starts here. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Springtime Blues? B&W Plumbing, HVAC, and Electrical is your go-to team. Visit bplusw.com/radio. Your comfort is their priority. B&W is your independent American Standard Air dealer.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Awful tweets, the ones that no one ever deletes. Awful tweets on the Tony Kinnett Show.
On 93 WIPC.
Good evening. Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast. It's time for Awful Tweets with Jerry Lopez at Indy Spanglish over on X. Jerry, how's it going, man?
Going great. How are you doing?
It's been a long week for one that I've sort of had a little bit of time off on, but you know what? Sometimes that's just how things crumble. So Awful Tweets works a little bit like this. You send us, you send Jerry, you send me, you send producer Lou or producer Allison, you send us the worst social media posts you can find. The ones where people are just so out of touch, Hall & Oates won't even touch it. And then we put them on screen and Jerry makes fun of them. It's the best idea anyone's ever had. It's stellar. I mean, you can have the Irish Cherokee Cuban alliance against stupid tweets. And speaking of alliances, we've got a real banger to start off with this week, Jerry. So this is from President Biden. Joseph R. has it all together, Biden. On my watch, when we make promises, we keep them. And we leave no one behind. Jerry, do we leave no one behind in the Biden administration?
I mean, now, so I understand he doesn't identify as a 6'8" black lesbian WNBA player, but Paul Whelan got left behind, literally got left behind. So this goes against everything that this guy's saying. As a matter of fact, he's left behind people everywhere that he's gone. When we went to Afghanistan, we left stuff behind. We left people. He let people fall off of airplanes, Tony.
I was getting ready to say the worst U.S. evacuation since Vietnam, where people are clinging to the American C-130 flying out. And again, of course, you hit it right on the head. The 11 embassies that the United States evacuated, we left Americans in those countries every single time. So a little bit out of touch, perhaps, the president, who is usually very much with us, of course. This next one is from New York Governor Kathy Hochul. I mean, just amazing. She said young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. Jerry, what do you think about that? You're in the city. You're in Indianapolis.
I don't know if this has more to do with young black kids or if this is an attack on the New York Teachers Association. We're not talking about kids having computers, just so we're clear, right? There's a lot of kids that don't own computers. I get that that's a reality. But to not know what the word computer is, come on, man. Like that's ridiculous. I don't know what's more racist than that. That is simply a racist remark, and I don't know how the left continues to get away with these things.
And it's the same group that says that black people and Hispanic people are too stupid to know how to get a voter ID.
A voter ID? Yeah. We can't get voter ID? Come on.
Stellar stuff. Well, speaking of education, we've got Randy Weingarten, a paragon of education virtue, holding our nation's education system up with her gnarled activist hands. She says education is a fundamental human right. All 12 of Gaza's universities and more than 80% of its schools are severely damaged or destroyed. The tragic toll of this war includes students and teachers who have been killed, but the impact will be felt by generations to come. What do you think of that one, Jerry?
Yeah, I think that she needs to get her own job straight first before she starts worrying about anybody else's. The damage that this lady has done single-handedly to our students across the country, whether it's closing down schools and then coming back and saying she didn't, right? Or having the Chicago Teachers Union saying we're going on strike, but posting pictures from vacation in Puerto Rico. Like, she has no right to say anything. And while that is a human right, so is the right to exist. So before any of this stuff happened, Israel had its right to exist already threatened. This is just the fallout.
I'd also point out just quite clearly that the UNRWA, which put teachers into Palestine, the vast majority of them, as we found via repeated investigations, actually from, again, Muslim Arabic sources, that these teachers are teaching students to draw like death to Jews, not death to Israel, but like death to Jews. So I'm sorry. The whole like, the education. No, I'm not buying it. Sorry. I no. This is from a Defiant L's tweet. So we got some great hypocrisy here. So on April 25th, this Josh P. Hill guy said, today starts with cops attacking students for their solidarity with Gaza in Atlanta, Chicago, and Princeton, New Jersey. The Free Palestine movement, like every single movement for a better world, requires the abolition of police. And then not too long ago in 2017, he tweeted, white supremacists are now marching in Charleston, West Virginia with no police in sight, Jerry.
I mean, this reminds me of our neighborhood communists, right? Like, abolish the police. Also, I called the police and nobody showed up to help me when I got hit by a car. Like, you can't have it both ways. If you want to abolish the police, don't call the police, right? Call your counselor or whatever that you want to have down there. But the left is notorious for this, right? I mean, they have the phrase, what is it? No to thee, but not for me, or something like that. They do and say whatever they want. They should never be taken serious.
So speaking of not being taken,
rules for thee, not for me. There you go.
Right. So speaking of not taken seriously, you sent me this one and I couldn't read it. This is by a guy named Andrew Dudum. He said, if you're currently protesting against the genocide of the Palestinian people and for your university's divestment from Israel, keep going. It's working. There are plenty of companies and CEOs eager to hire you, regardless of university discipline. I'm going to need a source on that one, other than this guy's thing, HIMSS. And isn't HIMSS the mental health service thing?
Yeah, Well, it's kind of a mental health service thing. It's a hair thing. It's a can't get it up, take our pill kind of thing. The part that I think is funny to hear is he makes a statement, moral courage is better than a college degree. So I encourage everybody listening right now to fill out an application at hims.com and for your education, put down moral courage. And let's see how many of you guys get interviews.
Oh, my goodness. Well, this last one is something else. So this is from some leftist activist that I never heard of, and I can't even begin to pronounce the name that's on the screen here. So I'm just not going to try it. But she posts a picture and says, "A baby is crying in Rafah. Can you see, can you hear it, Earth?" And then she posts a picture of a child, and the child is raising his hand, and it's all bloody and terrible and stuff. Do you notice something on the child's hand that's a little off, Jerry? Just something that's a little strange here.
Yeah, so for those of you on the YouTube chat, which I encourage you to look at, I don't know what's going on with this kid, but he has too many fingers on his hand. All right, this kid has legit six fingers on one hand. 6 adult fingers. Like, they have the thumb, and then, like, I don't know, just picture 2 middle fingers of length, right? This isn't like the little 6th finger off the end.
He's got like crazy age lines. So anyway, the reason that's interesting is that because that means it's an AI generated image. Almost always, whenever you have, like, AI doesn't know how to do fingers still on images. And so, again, the individuals who are so absolutely desperate to post the most ridiculous things online, I don't care what side you're on, I don't care what political area, I don't care what you're protesting. When you use AI images to get your point across, you will get caught and you will be mocked. And then you will be mocked for crying about being mocked. Don't use AI images. Don't waste our time with your 800-fingered creature that you spawned on your computer. You know what I mean, Jerry?
Hey, but if you do, you too can be on awful tweets.
That's right. You too can indeed be on awful tweets. And you can send those over to us at tonykinnett.com/contact, or, sling them over at Indy Spanglish over on X. It's been good having you on the show tonight, man. Thanks for working with us in kind of a weird schedule.
Yeah, definitely. Now I'm off to throw some darts, so here we go.
Well, you enjoy throwing some darts. We'll be back to throw additional darts because, I'm just so good at segues. Next week, Monday evening, we'll be back to our standard weekly schedule at 7 p.m. here on 93 WIBC. This has been episode 101 of the Tony Kinnett Cast. You can find us over on podcast services by typing in the name, and we'll be back with you pretty soon. Have a good weekend. This has been the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
What people suffering from nasal breathing, snoring, and sleep apnea problems want is for their issues to be fixed. And at